I feel like that's what the artists that you are showing here at the library, that's exactly what you guys are doing. Is you're working with these images, either knowingly or unknowingly, and bringing them into the postmodern world so that they have potency.
The snake encircling the egg symbolizes the cosmic egg, which was the original symbol of creation, according to the Orphic egg myth. And this cosmic egg it symbolized the pleroma, the undifferentiated original universe. It was non-dual, and the egg itself, the top of the egg was considered to be the heavens, the bottom was earth, and the middle was the non-dual pleroma of the original edition. The snake wrapped around the egg, symbol of consciousness. It cracked the egg and caused the egg to birth all the gods and created order in the universe. That I extrapolate from the breaking of the egg by the snake and creating duality, it does create a good and evil. In the case of Adam and Eve, snake giving Adam and Eve the apple set up shame and guilt and all those things that plague us now as higher consciousness that the instinctive animals don't tend to have a problem with.
My painting is called Seeing in the Dark, and when I made it, I was thinking about how there's so much we don't perceive in the light. There's so many ways in which we perceive other worlds, other dimensions, through other kinds of sensory experience. There's an eye in the hand because our hands are what we touch the world with, and we touch each other, and we experience physicality and tactile reality. And I guess I was thinking about the way the eye represents touching the world in a conscious, in a sacred way. Seeing in the dark, seeing with our hands, seeing with our sensations and not just our eyes.
The title of the piece is called Longer Stories. And so it gets at that both the mountain lion and the deer are both so much more than they appear to be when they're kind of whittled down to these ideas of predator and prey. But also it really gets at the fact that they are participants in this larger story, the story of the ecosystem and keeping the ecosystem in balance. Vital aspects of the ecosystem, and without one another, the ecosystem would unravel. So this piece really represents that kinship, that closeness, that relationship. I wanted to portray a sense of peace. I think predator and prey are often depicted as at war with one another. And so I really wanted them to be together, to be close, and to be at peace, because I think that's a large part of their dynamic as well. And this piece came to be initially through a series of dreams in which I was a deer walking through a desert landscape. I had a series of these dreams, and not long after, maybe a month or two after I started having these dreams, I was lucky enough to, on a hike near Tucson, encounter a site where the mountain lions had killed a deer. And the mountain lions were actually there. I got to see them, and that was extraordinary. And later, I came back to the site and I sat where the deer originally had been killed, and I did some deep listening and tried to understand the deeper layers of their relationship. I really wanted to listen in to the landscape itself and to the kind of spirit of the deer and the mountain lion in that place, and try to learn something about their lives and about their relationship with one another. And that's where this piece came to be.
This painting presents an experience that took place over a couple of years and still goes on. It's about trying to create a dialogue between the conscious ego and the realm of the unconscious, opening a passage between the two without being submerged. There's a grid pattern on it that I start many images with, a kind of structure to hold stability in the midst of chaos. In this case, it wasn't enough. I had to stop working on the painting for a while because I was really afraid of the beast image in the lower panel. Someone from the audience asked whether this creature was breathing the woman in the top panel into life or whether it was devouring her. Yes.
My work is an attempt to capture the ineffable. I like to look at the work as a question about a moment captured in time, like the cave paintings in Lascaux. That includes this life, death, dreams, the passage of time, and the eternal. Not to expect, impose, or judge, but only to try and understand.
Well, there's stories about the human experience. Wouldn't you say that's one way of looking at archetypes? I mean, they cross cultures because all humans with these human bodies and living in this planet have experienced these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then Tina, your hand was up.
I want to say it's happening right now.
Well, that's
Why did it have to happen back then? It's still happening now. It just doesn't have to happen back then.
Well, Patrick, that's one of the elements of the archetype is that they are transcultural and transtemporal.
Yes.
It is now and then will be in the future.
Yes.
Tina, your hand is back.
I remembered. It's like the fairy tales that we understand, looking in a broader sense, that these are teaching stories.
Exactly.
And the kids we tell them to, if we start doing that it makes an imprint on them. They might really get lost in a forest of some kind in life.
Exactly.
And a dog will come up with a comb and say, comb me, and I will lead you to your destination. But these are things that we needed to learn, like the descent of Inanna.
Yes.
These are wonderful, wonderful stories, and I find they're very, very useful. I'm also a therapist, and so it's great. I can say, read this.
Yes.
Oh, read this. This happened before.
And Tina, this is how Jung would argue that. He would say that when we're told a story, like a Grimm's fairy tale, for example, the story already resides in us, and that's why it gets stimulated. And he also believed that this is why, I mean, this was definitely in a public place. This was in a he believed that we need to be around images like this so that we get affected by those archetypal stories. And even if it's unconscious, we could be in the presence of this and we can be reminded, hey, get your wings. Seek the wisdom that you need. Take up your sword. Confront your adversary. Even if it's not conscious, it has an effect on us. Now, we're in a season right now. You guys know what season it is?
Holiday.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's the
Winter solstice.
For some people, this would be the story. It could be winter solstice.
The rebirth of the sun.
The divine child.
And so let me give you a phrase. This was not Jung's, though he used it a lot. That there is such thing as the participation mystique, where if we participate, let's say, in a Jesus story, the manger, and all of these different things, we could benefit from participating in that story. It is not a question of faith. It is not a question of historical fact. It is not a question of, was there really a little baby that was born that way? But it's that we are participating in an energy that is good for us to be around. So folks, I want to call this the fourth criteria for a visionary art, is that not only does it affect us, but it can, when we're in the presence of it, but it is something that we can work with as an energy toward healing.